When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and asked, "Am I truly living the life I want?" Not the life that others expect from me, not the one that seems right in the eyes of society, but the one that genuinely resonates with my soul. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers in modern psychology, left us with a lesson that few dare to follow: the importance of choosing yourself, even when everything around you seems to push you in the opposite direction. It's this very act of courage, of choosing your path, that sets the foundation for genuine fulfillment and inner peace. Now, let's think about this for a second. How often do we find ourselves compromising our deepest desires for the sake of what seems practical or expected? How often do we silence our inner voice because we fear the uncertainty that comes with stepping off the well-trodden path? It's almost as if we're programmed to forget that the most important conversation we can ever have is the one that happens within the walls of our own mind. But here's where the ancient philosophy of Stoicism ties beautifully with Jung's insights. Stoicism teaches us about the art of living in accordance with nature, our own true nature. It encourages us to ask ourselves, are my actions aligned with my core values? Am I living truthfully to my innermost desires and principles? Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus focused on personal integrity and wisdom, much like Jung's call for individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who we truly are, not just what the world expects us to be. This conversation isn't just philosophical musings, it's a call to action. It's about realizing that every day we face choices that either align us more closely with our authentic selves or lead us further away. When we look in the mirror, we seeing the person we truly want to be, or a reflection marred by compromises and unfulfilled promises? It's about asking not just, who am I, but, who am I becoming? Choosing yourself might mean setting boundaries, perhaps saying no when it's easier to say yes. It might involve pursuing a passion that doesn't fit the conventional definition of success. This choice isn't about self-interest, it's about self-respect. It's a declaration that you value your life enough to live it on your terms, to make it a true expression of yourself. So, as we explore these ideas together, remember that understanding yourself and living in harmony with that understanding isn't an act of rebellion, it's an act of liberation. It frees us from external expectations and allows us to craft a life that is not just bearable, not just satisfactory, but deeply enriching and joyously lived. Before we get into it, there's a simple favor I'll ask of you. If you appreciate what we're doing here, hit the subscribe button. It takes less than a second, but it helps bring this content to more people who need it. Let's dive in. As we navigate the world, we're constantly juggling the expectations laid upon us by society with our own inner desires and beliefs. This struggle isn't just about choosing between right and wrong, but about deciphering the subtle, often unspoken demands of our surroundings versus the quiet, insistent voice within. This internal battle can feel like standing at a crossroads where every direction is shrouded in fog, and the only guide you have is your own compass, your core self. Carl Jung famously said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is not merely a call to self-discovery, it's a challenge to confront the very pressures that mold us into forms far removed from our true essence. Jung's thoughts dovetail neatly with the Stoic principle that external events don't harm us, rather, our perceptions of them do. It's not the demands of society that constrain us, but our response to those demands, our willingness to conform without questioning whether the path we're on truly suits our nature. Stoicism provides a framework for dealing with these societal pressures, not by withdrawing, but by engaging with the world in a more mindful way. Seneca, one of the stalwarts of Stoic philosophy, offers wisdom that resonates deeply here. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. This statement is a powerful reminder that the real conflict isn't between you and society, it's between you and the version of yourself that you've been persuaded to be. This ongoing conflict requires us to be vigilant, to constantly ask ourselves if the life we are living is truly our own or one that's been heavily edited by societal expectations. It's about recognizing that while we may not control the external world, we do control our reactions, our decisions, and ultimately, our destiny. In this understanding, there lies profound freedom, a freedom to align more closely with our genuine selves, even if it means standing apart from the crowd. Ignoring your own voice, that inner dialogue that guides and shapes your path, carries a heavier price than many of us realize. Every time we silence that voice, every time we choose the path of least resistance for the sake of ease or approval, we pay with a piece of our authenticity. It's like building a house on a foundation of sand. It may stand for a while, but it's vulnerable to collapse under pressure. Carl Jung captured this sentiment when he discussed the idea of the persona, the mask that we wear in public, the role we play that conforms to societal expectations. Jung warned of the danger in identifying too closely with these personas, stating, "The individual often bears a mask in order to conform to the expectations of others, thus compromising his or her true self." Over time, this suppression of our true identity doesn't just limit our potential, it can lead to profound unhappiness and existential distress. It's as if we're strangers in our own lives, looking in from the outside, unable to connect deeply with our work, our relationships, or our passions. From a Stoic perspective, Epictetus offers guidance that resonates with this plight. He taught that we are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens. When we ignore our inner voice, we're not just making a benign choice, we're actively shaping our perception of who we are and what we value. Over time, these distorted perceptions can lead us to live lives that feel not only unfulfilling but fundamentally dissonant. The cost of ignoring your voice is not just about missing out on a more authentic life, it also affects how we interact with the world and with others. When we're not true to ourselves, we can't be fully honest or present with others. Our relationships may suffer because they are not rooted in genuine interaction. We might find ourselves wearing so many masks that we forget what it's like to be real, to be vulnerable, to be seen. By reclaiming our voice, by daring to listen and respond to our deepest needs and truths, we open ourselves up to a life of greater integrity and meaning. This is not just about personal satisfaction, it's about creating a life that is resilient to the external pressures that once swayed us so easily. In doing so, we not only find peace within ourselves but become a beacon for authenticity in a world that often values conformity over individuality. This journey of reconnection with our inner voice is challenging, but it is also one of the most rewarding pursuits we can undertake. Listening to yourself, really tuning into your inner dialogue and desires, is a concept that might sound straightforward, yet it's profoundly complex and deeply transformative.